Hello everyone, and today we are going to be installing an SSD into the 2006 MacBook Pro. And the reason we are doing this is because the hard drive currently sounds like this. The SSD in question we are going to be installing into the MacBook Pro is this very cheap, no brand, 128GB SP something or another. And we also have an overhead camera view now. Exciting, exciting news. But before we can do anything, I need to put this hard drive into my computer to check what's actually on it, because I forgot to do that before I started. There we are. Problem sorted. This is blank. I do not need to worry. Now, installing SSDs into pre-unibody MacBook Pros, which is what this bad boy is far more difficult than it is on a unibody MacBook Pro. Because instead of just taking the bottom cover off, you instead have to open everything and take the keyboard out, which is a lot more of a involved process. So there's going to be a lot of steps to this video, and it's going to take us a little bit of time, but it will be all worthwhile. So step one is to remove the battery. This battery is well and truly dead anyway. I don't even think it's original. It is original. This is the original battery. It does not hold a charge anymore, devastatingly. The first part is inside here, when you have removed the screws. I'm going to put the computer this way and leave it that way. Then you can actually see what I'm doing. There are 3 screws that hold the RAM door in place, which are just Phillips, normal Phillips screws. So 1, 2, and 3. And then this metal cover comes off, and that is where your RAM is. Now, because this computer has a dead hard drive, I actually don't know how much RAM it has. I haven't been able to check. So let's pop the RAM out and discover together. We have a 2GB stick and a 2GB stick. That is fantastic. So this computer has 4GB of RAM, which is a lot more than it would have come with originally. It probably would have originally shipped with 2GB, but we have 4, which is amazing. The next step, there are 4 Phillips screws along the top of the back cover, and these screws are very, very, very tiny. And they're all different lengths. So this is a long one. This is also a long one. This is a long one, and I believe the last one's a short one. 3 long, 1 short, from memory. 3 long. Oh, no, they're all long. Okay, that was clearly a thing they did later, unless I'm making it up entirely. Once you have removed those 4 and the RAM cover, there are 2 more screws inside the RAM cover, but these are Torx screws. So you're going to need proper screwdriver kit to do this, because Apple didn't want to make this easy. Even back in 2006, when they were selling things that were easy to repair, they still weren't making it as easy as they could have. So we need to take out these 2 screws. Out they come. Now comes the really fun part. These laptops have screws along every single edge. 4 there, 1 either side of the hinge cover, and 4 on this side as well. And we need to take all of those out. So they are Phillips, so you need to switch your bit back. I'm going to go with a smaller one this time, because the first one was a little too big for my liking. And thankfully, these are all the same length. So we're going to start with the left-hand side and remove the one nearest the charging port. This one is annoying. It will try and magnetize itself to the MagSafe connector. So just be careful that it doesn't gravitate there too quickly, otherwise you will never get it out and it'll be a nightmare. These screws are minuscule, so just be extra, extra careful when you're taking these out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Now, I have never filmed with an overhead camera before, so I have no idea how much of this you can actually see until I edit this video. So there might just be a bunch of useless clips that I don't use, but we shall see how this goes. Another one. You definitely can't see that. Slide this way. One in this side. And 4 more down this side. One. 2. 3 and 4. Now, I really like these non-unibody MacBook Pros, and I was really, really excited to get this one. I already have a 2008 17-inch MacBook Pro, which I might get out at the end of this video to do a size comparison, but I really wanted a 15-inch again. I had a 15-inch 2008 at one point, which died, and I was very sad about. But the 17-inch has the repaired GPU, so it should never die, he says. Not completely convinced by that. Now, there's 2 more screws, which are hidden on the inside of the battery compartment. So you have to get a screwdriver in an angle to take these out. And again, you're near the hinge magnets, which means that the screws like to jump. That one hasn't, thankfully. I'm going to put these 2 separately, as I can't remember if they're shorter, but just in case they are, we're going to keep them separate. So one, this is the one near the magnet. Grab it with my finger. There we go, 1 and 2. That is all of the screws out. So flip the laptop back over, open up the lid, and then all you need to do is very carefully get your nail under the back corner, pull up, make your way along each edge, gently lifting, and everything should come away. If I've missed a screw in that corner, that'll be why that corner doesn't want to lift. Obviously, don't force anything. So I'm just going to check that I didn't miss the screw. Nope, that screws out, that screws out. There's definitely no screws left, so it's just being stubborn, and I need to be just a little bit more encouraging. There we go. Gently lift up towards the front. There is a ribbon cable, so don't lift it too quickly. Now the front, the clips like to break, so just be, again, gentle but encouraging as you go around the edge. You have a plastic smudging tool. Use that rather than your fingernails. It will hurt less. There we go. A little bit of help. Come on, you. There we go. She's up. Now, the ribbon cable, as you can see, is there under some Kafton tape. So you'll just need to peel back the yellow tape. I'm going to move the keyboard up this way. You're not going to be able to see very well on the overhead camera, but you should be able to see from over there. Peel away the Kafton tape. I'm just going to stick it over here so I can put it back later. And then gently lift the edges of the connector until it pops off. And then you can place the keyboard to one side. And we are inside a MacBook Pro. Now, if you are in here, I would recommend you redo the thermal paste. I'm not going to be using this computer enough to bother taking it apart completely. And also, this one seems to be in really clean condition, which does not mean that the thermal paste is in good condition, but if you can't see, all of the little tiny connectors run on top of the logic board, which means that if you were trying to take it out to get to the heatsink underneath, you have to rerun every single cable, which is a humongous pain. So I'm not going to do that in this video. Now, the hard drive is here. There is another ribbon cable here that you just need to pop up and gently peel off of there. And this is your hard drive. There are 2 screws holding it in place. What you will need to do is lift up this connector board off of it because the screw is under there. These are, again, just 2 Phillips screws. So one at the top of the bracket and one at the bottom of the bracket. And we will remove our poor, very dead Toshiba hard drive. So 1, 2. Then I would gently lift the metal bar out with a screwdriver. So it just looks like that. And then gently lift the hard drive up and pull it out. Remove the connector. And here is our Toshiba hard drive. This is, how big is it? 500 gigabytes. So we're getting quite a big downgrade in capacity, but it's dead and very slow anyway. The rubber mountings on these hard drives are, again, Torx. So you're going to have to swap your screwdriver bit yet again in order to actually undo the screws on either side. Preferably the right sized one, that always helps. So we're going to unscrew this one. And I'm just going to keep the rubber pieces on the hard drive because I'm going to want to put them back on the SSD. Even though the SSD doesn't actually need the rubber dampening, it just keeps it nice and secure and stops it moving inside. 1, 2, 3, 4. And goodbye. What I am going to do is what I would recommend anyone does with dead hard drives. Because you never know, if you believe it somewhere, when you might think it's fine and go and put it back in the computer, only to discover she's toasted. So I'm just going to draw on it, so I remember. Then I'm going to put the screws in the SSD. So 1 in each slot. 1. You can finger tighten them to start with because they have the nice rubber grips on them, which might make it a little easier, unless I just drop them anyway. You're going to stay there while I can try and show it to camera. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, this particular 2006 MacBook Pro is a later Core 2 Duo one, which is the ones you should buy. Do not buy the Core Duo ones. Even as a tinkering gadget, they are a bit useless. Cable back in. Line it back up in the holes, if it wants to. There we go. She's in. Metal bar over the top. I say she's in, I'm lying. I'm also about to have a coughing fit. I have had this cough for like 4 weeks and it's getting really quite annoying. They're not screwed in all the way. They're not screwed in all the way. That'll be why it's not going in. No, don't capture that in there. That's a bad idea. There we go. Right, try that again. Line it up, line it up. Come on. It's probably because the thickness of the SSD is obviously slightly different to the original drive, but it hopefully will screw in the end. Back to crosshead we go. Grab our 2 bracket screws. Nope. She doesn't want to sit. Why not? It is probably because the SSD is thinner than the hard drive, so it's not sitting in the right place. So I hold it like that. Does it go in better? Not really. I've genuinely never had a problem with this before. Usually they just go straight in, willy-nilly, no problems at all. This is This is what this channel's about, though. Everything going wrong because it will inevitably do so. And then try that. Maybe I need to put something onto the SSD so it's slightly more raised. I don't know. Think it's in. Bracket. Quick, 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 quick. Quick. One-handed bits. No, not one-handed. We got this. Two-handed bit swap. Screw. Screw. She's in. She's in. She's in. She's in. She's in. I have one. She's in. Right. Stick the connector back down as best as you can. Plug her back in. And now we're going to put it back together and test it. Wow, that was too much effort. Keyboard. Plug the connector back in. Place the bit of Cafton tape back. You don't have to. It's only there for reasons, to be honest. Line the front up first. Press it down all the way around. Make sure it's clipped all the way in, otherwise the screws won't go in. Shut the lid. Double check it's flush. I'm going to put the front screws in first, because they're crosshead. So, screw number one goes next to, not the magnet, we'll do the magnet 1 second because it's more annoying. One. And no, it's stuck to the magnet. Cover magnet with my finger. There you go, 1 and 2. Side time. Using a magnetic screwdriver will make your life 1,000,000,000 times easier if you do this. If you use a non-magnetic screwdriver, you're going to struggle and drop screws all over the place. Ooh, that's not really what I wanted to happen. Now, the issue is, I believe that this SSD actually has an old copy of Mavericks on it, which will not boot on a 2006 Macbook Pro anyway. So what I'm probably going to have to do is grab my hard drive with like Hirons on it, just to check that the SSD is actually showing up, because I don't have any macOS installers to hand. My macOS hard drive is in the shed. There we go. And last one on this side. Two on the back. Actually, we can test the optical drive. I'm going to stick a Windows XP installer in it, because that'll be able to detect the SSD anyway. There we go. Lovely. Back to Torx for the last time for these two. One in there. One in there. long ones, so talks away. One. But at least, you know, this might be quite a long and laborious process, but at least it is doable. Like, soldered RAM and soldered storage are the bane of the universe. I should not be able to buy a computer with not enough RAM and then not be able to change my mind later. Because your workload might change, your financial situation might change, and you might want to add these things later, but you need the computer now. It should not be acceptable to say, oh, well, you should have ordered it with that much RAM. What about if I didn't have the money at the time? What about, like, there's so many reasons that you might not actually be able or want to do that. And taking that right away from consumers is not okay. So please continue to fight for RAM slots and removable SSDs, because soldered storage is absolutely a no-no. Soldered RAM gets a pass on like the thinnest ultrabooks ever, and only does it there get a pass. It's not good. We like things we can take apart and things we can upgrade and replace on our own accord when we feel like it. I wrote a whole essay on that subject. A whole essay about why computers need to be repairable. That was literally like, that's how I stand, and I will always stand that way. So, we're going to put the battery back in, even though it is completely kaput, just because it makes the computer nice and complete. We're going to flip her over. We're going to open her up. And I'm going to re-angle the main camera so you can see the screen and turn off the overhead. Welcome back to main camera only. Here is world's safest MacBook charger. We're going to plug her in. And she probably turns straight on because the battery's dead. There we go. I'm going to put in a Windows XP install DVD. That's a super drive. Is she gonna boot? Is she gonna boot? It's also possible the super drive will also be just dead and this will achieve nothing. That sounds healthy. Yep, it's trying to boot from the SSD. So the SSD is detected, but that's not going to work. Because that's Mavericks. I mean, it might have booted if I'd left it. Because it is a hacked version. You know what? Let's see if it'll boot. I'm just going to eject the disk. So I'm going to hold the left click button. If you didn't know, you can hold left click to eject a disk on boot. There we go. Ooh, the eject motor. They always sounded horrible. This one sounds particularly horrible. The front doesn't appear to clip back in quite right, so I'm just going to press it down. There's one clip. Two. There we go. All the clips are in. Is it going to boot? I'm interested, because this was from my Mac Pro. My 1,1 Mac Pro. So it would have actually been hacked anyway. Well, that's further than I thought it was going to get.
Huh?
Wow. Really? It's not going to have any of the drivers, but that's not what I thought was going to happen in this video. I did not think we were going to end up with Mavericks on a 2006 MacBook Pro. That was not part of the plan. We try and turn it slightly so you can actually see the screen. Yeah, there is no graphics acceleration, but wow. I was not expecting to end up here in this video. Let's have a look. So it's a 2.16 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, which I think is the base model. I'm not entirely sure. X1600, which has no graphics acceleration, and 4 gigs of RAM. Wow. Do we have internet? We're on my Wi-Fi. What on earth is this? Maybe there's a way to get graphics acceleration. I did not think this would be part of this video. Oh my god. I should not have opened Safari. Hang on. ATI X1600 Mavericks. Let's see if there's a text or something like a patch we can do. Because we are on the internet. So look, we're on Google. It's going to be really, really slow Google, but it is Google. Gonna have a coughing fit again. This is the most persistent cough I've had in my entire life. It's horrendous. Absolutely awful. I'm actually going to use my second camera to go on the internet right now to see if this is even possible before I waste 20 minutes. Oh my goodness, stop. I am back, and I have put macOS Post Factor on a USB flash drive because I figured out that's probably why I installed this within the first place. So maybe I can do something with it, he says. Yeah, the battery is completely dead. So we're going to see if this can do anything. I can't remember how Post Factor works. I don't know if you can like just patch and install or if you have to redo the install entirely. I don't remember. So we might have to not do this in this video. But we'll see. Skip verifying, who cares, just open it. Into the applications folder. Do we have audio? No, okay. Because I think this is a 2.1, which I think macOS Post Factor actually supports properly. I should not have clicked Launchpad, I should have done the folder. Oh, we okay? We're back, everything's fine. No. How does this work then? I can't remember. No, okay, so you have to reinstall it completely. But that could be a video. That could be a video. Let me know if you want that to be a video. Well, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed installing an SSD into this MacBook Pro. I also discovered while I was trying to find the system identifier, if I click on System Report, this happens. That didn't happen before. Last time I did that, it crashed the computer, so that's good. And it's a MacBook Pro 2.2, which is supported by Post Factor. So we can have some fun with this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all later.